suburban farm town of about 8,000 people. Seemingly a beautiful and serene paradise of leaves and nature. But that paradise is being threatened. There are those that would have this town turned into an industrial baron, slaving away for big energy. These people are from a company named Kinder Morgan. And if the FERC agrees to their terms, then the forces of eminent domain shall tear asunder the peaceful landscape with blasting and other fiery demonic techniques. But more of this at a later point. Today we turn our great eye upon the residents of this soon-to-be desolate hellscape of fire and brimstone and natural gas.
So, I'm here sitting with Joyce Woodrow. And so you work at the Beaver Brook Association? That's correct? Okay, cool. How long have you been working there?
I've been there for 21 years.
What's your position there?
Director of Finance.
We are here with Mr. Hollis. Are you involved with the Beaver Brook Association?
I was on Beaver Brook's board for 5 years. We've been involved with Beaver Brook ever since we moved to Hollis. As members and as donors, as neighbors, they abut our property. And part of the reason that we moved to Hollis and moved to this neighborhood.
Would you mind giving a brief description of the Northeast Expansion Project?
It's my understanding that through fracking in upstate New York and Pennsylvania, there is natural gas that they need to move out and up into New England, where there's a need for this energy. There right now is not a pipeline running from New York State through northern Massachusetts, so that's what they're focused on right now. There is a southern route that runs along the Mass Turnpike, but what they're trying to do now is come in on the northern side of Massachusetts, and where it runs parallel to almost Route 2, or that's what I envision, sort of along there. But once they get closer to the New Hampshire line, then it goes up into Pepperell, Dunstable. And my understanding is the goal is to get to Drake-it. And then they would have a facility that would then pipe it to other areas north and east of that area. But what they're trying to do is in Pepperell have a separate line that would run north. It would be a smaller gas line. The one running west-east would be approximately 30 inches in diameter. That's my understanding as a private citizen,
right,
and what I've read in the paper. And then the line that they're trying to run north up to Amherst Street in Merrimack would be about a 12-inch diameter.
What is the Northeast Expansion Project?
So as I understand, the Northeast Expansion Project is a new natural gas pipeline coming from, I'll say, upstate New York, running across northern Massachusetts into Drake-it, Mass. And then as part of that, how we're involved, how Beaver Brook's involved, and Hollis is involved, there's a spur coming off that Northeast Expansion Pipeline out of Townsend, Mass, up through Hollis into Merrimack, off Route 101A. Essentially increasing the capacity of natural gas delivery from the, I guess it's the Marcellus Shale, somewhere in Pennsylvania, upstate New York, to increase the delivery of that gas, natural gas, to the Northeast.
Most of you were probably wondering what the Northeast Expansion Project is. And if not, now you are, so here it goes. The Northeast Expansion Project is a natural gas pipeline that would go from shale fields in upstate New York to Drake-it, Mass, with an extension through southern New Hampshire and, namely, Hollis. The extension would end at a terminal on 101A in Amherst. The problem arises for residents of Hollis in that the pipeline would go through many people's properties and through a privately owned conservation organization, the Beaver Brook Association.
So what does the Beaver Brook Association do?
We are a land conservation and an environmental education organization, nonprofit. So we, over the course of 50 years, have put over 2,000 acres under easement, something we completed just in the last year. And we educate school children as well as adults and have thousands of them come through our doors on an annual basis. The kids come through for field trips or summer camps, and adults and families use our trails for hiking. We have 35 hiking trails, as well as all these educational programs that we offer.
What does that mean, under easement?
It means it's protected. It can't be subdivided, and you couldn't sell off a piece for a development, for example.
What does the Beaver Brook Association do?
The Beaver Brook Association is chartered with the care and stewardship of the land. So as you may know, Beaver Brook has 2,000 acres of land, the vast majority in Hollis. And it's basically maintained and upkept by private donations. So the charter of the association is the maintenance and upkeep and preservation of the land.
Kinder Morgan and its subsidiary, Tennessee Gas Pipeline Company, are the companies pushing for this pipeline to be built.
How would the pipeline affect the community of Hollis?
It would affect it would be a land issue. Some people have it going right through their property, so I'm sure for them it would reduce their property value. I feel that it potentially could affect all of our property values.
How will the Northeast Expansion Project affect you personally?
Sure. So just as I kind of, said, why is Beaver Brook logical, right, choice? We're I guess, a casualty of location. Because we abut Beaver Brook, right? We're neighbors to Beaver Brook, and if you look at the line they're drawing, our house just happens to be, our property happens to be in that path.
Right.
So our direct impact is they'd like to put a 50-foot swath, for lack of a better term, through our land, so they can drop a pipeline in.
Right.
We would receive no benefit of the gas. We do not use natural gas. They have no plans of delivering natural gas. So it's purely to get the gas from point A to point B through Hollis. My personal view is coming back to this house, 10 years from now, 5 years, if there's a gas line, I wouldn't buy it.
But
Wouldn't even look at it. There's no price could be low enough for me to move into this house with little children with a gas pipeline 35 feet away, 40 feet away, 50 feet away. My view is my property is now worthless because I wouldn't buy it. But the gas line itself would come right across the drive at this angle.
And it would just be like a 50-foot
And
swath.
so from where I'm standing, 25 feet that way, 25 feet that way, would be totally clear cut. So everything you see behind Brenden, which is now just all woods, will be gone. All the way to Townsend.
All the way to Townsend?
And then in this direction, a 50-foot wide cut will run right up halfway between our neighbor's house and the other neighbor's house, all the way up to Merrimack, all through Beaver Brook.
Wow. Unfortunately, in a couple short years, this could all very well be gone. Well, especially the trees. If Kinder Morgan would have their way, there would be a 50-foot wide swath of treeless areas where they would cut down all the trees and be mowing constantly. Something like this that we have here where you can see there's like a ledge basically. It's a short ledge, but a ledge nonetheless. It would probably have to be blasted through for the sake of this pipeline. Eminent domain was first established during the late 19th century for the sake of building railroads. For railroads cannot travel over steep hills, and it can be devastatingly expensive to make a turn along a railroad. To combat these two difficulties in building railroads, the government invented eminent domain. Eminent domain is used by the government to bring specific citizens' properties under easement. The judiciary involved itself recently in this matter by agreeing via writ of certiorari to decide on Kelo v. City of New London. In this court case, the Supreme Court ruled that economic growth of the general public is an acceptable justification for the use of eminent domain to enforce private redevelopment plans. Kinder Morgan intends to use eminent domain to seize the properties of these benevolent, God-fearing town people in their pursuit of money. Typical greedy upper class.
What are Hollis residents trying to do to stop Kinder Morgan building this pipeline?
Well, I know the selectmen are working with an attorney right now and looking at what they can do what we can do as a town. Beaverbrook is also, we've set up a property defense fund, and we've been accepting donations and the money will be used to help fight this pipeline coming through Beaverbrook.
How would that money be used?
To hire an attorney, primarily right now. I mean, I don't know what other expenses they might be looking at down the road, but initially it's to bring in
legal expertise.
Right.
Yeah. What are Hollis residents trying to do to stop Kinder Morgan?
But one of the main things that we've been doing is contacting all of our representatives, letting the town, letting the city, county, state representatives know that we in no way, shape, or form are interested in the pipeline coming through Hollis.
That's right, folks. Your primary defense are your legislators. Good luck with that one.
Unfortunately, that's about the primary, right? The primary defense that we have is, to make it known we're not interested. Unfortunately, when you get to the FERC level, if FERC grants them eminent domain, we have little ground to stand on.
To the best of your knowledge, what is FERC and how are they involved in all of this?
So FERC is the Federal Energy Regulatory Commission. But maybe the best way I might explain it is that's the government agency that has to get involved, right? When these companies, utilities, need to take action with homeowners. So getting back to the comments, nobody in Hollis has said, yes, we'd like a pipeline to come through our property. So Kinder Morgan now has to find a way to build this proposed pipeline.
The executive branch is involved in this pipeline solely through FERC, and even then just barely. The bureaucracy is technically under the control of the executive branch and the office of the president. However, the bureaucracy often functions as a completely separate entity. FERC is a bureaucratic office that regulates energy as it affects and is a matter of interstate commerce. Therein, FERC is Kinder Morgan's last resort. If FERC refuses to grant eminent domain to Kinder Morgan, then Kinder Morgan is essentially in some very hot water, but this is very unlikely. Because of issue networks and iron triangles, businesses often have very cordial relations with bureaucratic offices. Well, I hope you've learned a lot today from this film. The devil is within private businesses. Well, I really do hope that this driveway doesn't explode in a fiery bomb caused by a natural gas leak. Don't trust the bureaucracy. Oh, Marie!